embarrassed to post it. Not in a bad way. I didn't know how many like hateful comments I would get, and I didn't want people to get mad, because I never want to make it seem like I'm trying to shove my religion down your throat, or I'm never in any way saying you have to believe what I believe. But my Bible studies are a really big part of my life, and like a lot of you reminded me in the comments of that video, there's nothing wrong with sharing it if you want to. This is your channel. Talk about what you want to talk about. And the response to that video was actually really overwhelming, and I was shocked, and everybody was so supportive, saying, I don't really like consider myself religious, or I don't really agree with what you're saying, but I really like this video, and I really give you props for not being afraid to share it, and things like that, different variations of that comment. And it was so nice, and so many of you requested another one. So that is what I'm doing today. This one is going to be a little bit different in that I'm not gonna do what I do every day, and right now I'm reading the book of Jeremiah, and I normally read 2 chapters a day plus the other things that I do, but I'm actually not gonna do that today, and you'll see why a little bit later in the video. And just a little disclaimer, like I said in the last video, if you want to listen to the actual words that I'm saying and pay attention, that's great. If you're just here for the whispering and the writing and the rambling and whatever else is going to be in this video, that's fine too. So whatever works for you. So I'm going to start with my devotional. I'm going to move my mic a little. I put it a little too close to me. Okay. Also, all my books are destroyed. I don't know if you can tell. I had all of my books in my work bag, and my water bottle spilled, and everything got wet. So I probably should get another notebook. You can't even tell, but it's kind of bad. But until I get a new one, this is what I'm working with. I tried to dry them as much as I could. Now they're all squeaky and gross. Okay, so I always start with a devotional, just in case you didn't see my other video. And a devotional is usually a little paragraph or two. So in mine, they're this long every day. They're very short, little paragraphs, and they're little mini lessons, and 95% of the time they'll have a scripture or two. And they're all different every day. So today is January 29th. So I always date. I'm sorry, you can't really see completely what I'm writing. That's the angle that I'm working with, but you can hear my voice. So and I always write the title. So today's title is He's Working All Things Out for Your Good. He's working all things out for your good. Okay, so I'm just gonna start reading. Oh my goodness, the words are faded because of the water. Okay. Paul begins this verse by saying, as we know. And the verse they're talking about is I'm going to write it down, Romans 8:28. And it says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, this verse by saying, and we know. There are so many things in life we don't know. We don't know if the economy will dip or how our kids will turn out. We don't even know what we ought to pray for. But we can know these 4 things. So this is a 4-parter. So I'm going to write things we know. And then underneath, 1, God works. Even though you can't see him, he's busy behind the scenes. He hasn't checked out or moved on. He's ceaseless, tireless, and he never stops working. So I'm going to write, he never stops working. Even when we're not aware of it. That's where the faith comes in. 2 is God works for the good, and I'm gonna underline the good. Not for our comfort, pleasure, or entertainment, but for our ultimate good. But then again, he's the ultimate good, so would you expect anything less? Ooh. So, from that, I basically take away that while he's working, we're not always going to be comfortable or happy, but he's giving us what we need. So when he is working, he's giving us what we need, not always what we want. He will give us what we want, but not if it's not the right time, you know. 3 is, this comes from the scripture that I just read, and it says, God works for the good of those who love him. So, okay, so these things are basically breaking down the scripture that we were talking about before. So, for the good of those who love him, behold the benefit of a loving God. Make his story your story, and your story takes on a happy ending. Guaranteed. That one is pretty self-explanatory. 4. I lost my place. 4 says, God works in all things. God works not just in a few things, or the good things, or the best things, or the easy things. He works in all things, and he doesn't make the plan up as he goes along. The Bible says, in him we were also chosen, according to the plan of him who works out everything in conformity with the purpose of his will. And that is Ephesians chapter 1, verse 11. I'm not going to write that whole thing down because it's kind of long, but I will try to write it in my own words. So, he doesn't, I'm just going to say he doesn't wing it. He acts according to his will, and nothing takes him by surprise. And the best part is, God's plan includes you. So stop fretting, stressing out, and losing sleep. Turn it over to God and believe that he's working all things out for your good and his glory. So, I'm gonna write, because I have that problem where I let my mind race and I worry and I stress, and I'm gonna say worrying does nothing for your good. So turn prosper you. Wow. So it's basically saying, like, I have plans for you, and they're always good in his own time. So that's one of my favorite verses. Okay, so now, after the devotional, what's going to be a little bit different about this video is that I'm going to go through my notes from church on Sunday. I stopped taking notes on Sundays for a long time, mostly because I am a part of my church's media team, which means that when I go to church, because I'm almost always on schedule, I'm like in my uniform and I'm working. I direct our media team. I'm one of our directors, because we do like live stream, for people around the world to watch and stuff. And so I never actually like sit as a member of the congregation and like listen like normal, which is sad. So this Sunday I wasn't on schedule and I went to church and I was like, I'm gonna take notes, but I did forget my notebook, so I took the notes on my phone. Where are my notes? Okay. So what I'm basically gonna do is I'm gonna dissect the notes, go through them again, because obviously when you're trying to like write down everything that he's saying, it's just really quick, and so I want to break everything down and write it all out and really go into the scriptures more. And I want the notes in my notebook, so I'm kind of doing a couple of things here. And this wasn't even my pastor, we had a guest speaker. I think he's like a board member of my church or something. I'm not gonna tell you his name for security reasons. You guys know how I am. But I'm gonna write his name down just so I remember. And then what was Sunday's date? The 27th. 1/27/19. Okay, he didn't give a title though. But from what I remember, the sermon was all about branching out and not being afraid of change, and how it's easier with God in your life to like accept change and try new things, and you'll see. We'll get into it. And that's funny because I don't really think I talked about it on this channel, but on my other channel, it's really not supposed to be like a plug at all, but on my second channel, I made a video talking about like goals for the new year, and one of my things was like not being afraid of change and like not being so comfortable in my comfort zone. So it's just funny. Okay, enough talking. So the very first thing he said, which as soon as he said it, everybody was like, whoa. And so I wrote it down, and it says, either we include God in everything we do, or, well, I wrote in everything we do, he said, either we include God, or by default, we're excluding him. So, I'm gonna write that down. In everything we do, either we include God in it, or by default, we are excluding him. Because we're meant to choose him and to put him first. And one of the things, I think I wrote it in here somewhere, but I feel like it makes more sense here. He was talking about how he and his wife have been married for 40 years, I think he said, and he has like 14 grandchildren. Like, he has a big family, but he was talking about how he knows that his marriage has been so successful, and he said it's because he knows that his wife loves God more than him and more than their children. And everybody was like, oh snap. That's true. He was like, I know that my wife puts God before anything and everyone, including me. And he was like, that's one of the things that I love most about her. first verse that he went into is Isaiah 43, verse 19. But I didn't write anything down, probably because he was going really fast. So let's go in and read it, shall we? Isaiah. I have my books of the Bible categorized in alphabetical order because I can never find, if they're in the real order that they're in the Bible, I can never find them, which is really bad. But Isaiah 43 and to verse 19, it says, okay, so this is already talking about doing new things, and it says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." I'm going to read it again. Sometimes if I don't pick up on it right away, I'll read it again. "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." Verse 18, going back a verse, says, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past." And then it goes into, "See, I'm doing a new thing." So I'm actually going to change this, and I'm going to write 18 through 19. And I actually like verse 18, so I'm going to write that down. Forget the former things, because it's really easy to hold on to the past and always think about it and compare it to what you're going through now, and that's just toxic. So forget the former things, do not dwell on the past, and then go into new things and just focus on those new things. Then we're gonna go to Joshua chapter 3, verses 2 through 7, and he had a lot of things to say here, so let's read it because I don't actually remember word for word what the verses were. I'm gonna I feel like I'm looking down at the table, so I'm gonna read it this way. Okay, verse 2 through 7. After 3 days, I'm just gonna start from the beginning. Verse 1. Early in the morning, Joshua and the Israelites set out from Shittim and went to the Jordan, where they camped before crossing over. After 3 days, the officers went throughout the camp, giving orders to the people. "When you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God and the Levitical priests carrying it, you are to move out from your positions and follow it. Then you will know which way to go, since you have never been this way before. But keep a distance of about 2,000 cubits between you and the ark. Do not go near it." Joshua told the people, "Consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you." Remember, they're going to a place that they have never been before, doing things they have never done before. Joshua said to the priests, "Take up the Ark of the Covenant and pass on ahead of the people." So they took it up and went ahead of them. And the Lord said to Joshua, "Today I will begin to exalt you in the eyes of all of Israel, so they may know that I am with you as I was with Moses." I'm so sorry about that bird. I'm so sorry. He's so loud. So going back to my notes, I'm just going to read to you what I wrote. These are things that the preacher was saying. So, when God begins to do something new, like we were saying before, that's funny, it matches up with the devotional, it doesn't catch him by accident. He is a God of transition, of planning, and of planning. So, I'm going to write, God takes you to new places. And this is he was saying this, they're phases of transition, and we all have phases of transition in our life. When you're younger and you're going from high school to college, you're going from college to the working world, or you go from single to being married. Those are all phases of tradition, and sometimes you can take comfort in the fact that he knows what he's doing. Like, before you even were born, he knew exactly what you were going to do, where you were going to end up, who was going to be in your life, where you were going to work. Even, like, when the day comes, not to get morbid, but like when the day comes and we pass away, he already knows that before you're even born. So I'm going to write what I just said. It can be scary, but we take comfort in knowing that God already knows what'll happen. And like we were saying in the devotional, we know that He's working for our good, always. And then I wrote, for people who get stuck in their comfort zones or hesitant when we do something new, but He will show you the way you must go. He will guide your steps. And then this was another like, oh snap moment. He said, transition is going to happen, but growing is optional. Transition is going to happen. Changes are going to happen. But whether you grow from it and you learn and you make the best of it, that's up to you. Somewhere in the Bible he says, like, I'm giving you the key. I'm giving you the tools that you need, and whatever you can't do, not whatever you don't want to do, whatever you can't do, I will do. I wish I knew what verse that was. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm just gonna write that one sentence down. Transition is inevitable. Growing is optional. Okay. Now we're going to the book of Matthew. Matthew chapter 9, verses 14 through 17. So let's go to that. Matthew chapter 9, 14 through 17. Then John's disciples came and asked him, "How is it that we and the Pharisees fast often, but your disciples do not fast?" Jesus answered, "How can the guests of the bridegroom mourn while he is with them? The time will come when the bridegroom will be taken from them. Then they will fast." 17. No one sews a patch, this is the important part, no one sews a patch of unshrunk cloth on an old garment for the patch will pull away from the garment, making the tear worse. Neither do people pour new wine into old wineskins. If they do, the skins will burst, the wine will run out, and the wineskins will be ruined. No, they pour new wine into new wineskins, and both are preserved. So a wineskin, I am assuming, is something that they use to hold their wine, carry their wine. And so they're saying that once that's empty and it's already held wine and it's old, no one is going to put something new in the old thing. You need something new to hold what is new so that the wine will be preserved. I don't know if that made sense. Basically, I'm really bad at explaining things, but it makes sense in my head. If you're going to change the old parts of you that it's time to say goodbye to, can't exist. Like, you have to completely get rid of the old to preserve the new and actually make it beneficial. Because if you still have certain bad habits while you're trying to change, it's not the same as if you first kick those old habits and then change. Is that making sense? I'm not gonna write all this down, but I'm simply gonna say you don't put be so hesitant when it comes to change. These are probably just little notes I'm saying to myself. Okay. Psalm 119, verses 25 through 32. Psalm 119. There's a lot of psalms. There's 150 psalms. So there's a lot. 119, 25 to 32. I am laid low in the dust. Preserve my life according to your word. I give an account of my ways, and you answered me. Teach me your decrees. Cause me to understand the way of your precepts, that I may meditate on your wonderful deeds. My soul is weary with sorrow. Strengthen me according to your word. Keep me from deceitful ways. Be gracious to me and teach me your law. I have chosen the way of faithfulness. I have set my heart on your laws. I hold fast to your statutes, Lord. Do not let me be put to shame. I run in the path of your commands, for you have broadened my understanding. Just so you know or understand, if you're not aware, the book of Psalms are basically like prayers, kind of, that you can pray depending on your situation. So like there have been certain Psalms that I've read that I'm like, oh, that's really good to pray in times when I feel worried, discouraged, sad, whatever. I think the man that was preaching, I think his translation was a little bit different than mine. His actually used the words, stretch me, like God, help to stretch me. And he said, I wrote word for word what he said. He said, God, stretch me. I want to change and hear you, but I can't right now. If you feel like, you're having trouble. So you literally tell him, so I need your help to receive what you're doing in my life and to help me feel more comfortable. Remember at the last verse, what did it say? I run in the path of your commandments, meaning I want to follow you and follow your will. For you have broadened my understanding. And by that, I literally just take that as like broadening in every sense of the word. So, if you guys don't mind, I'm just gonna write down that little prayer right there. Ask him, so you ask him, tell him you want to change, but you're having trouble. If you ask him, he'll tell you what he's doing in your life, or what he wants to do. And that's where he started talking about how you have to put God before everything else, like I was saying before. So he was saying God won't allow you to be a disciple if you don't choose to put him before everything and anyone. And then I wrote, the strength of this man's marriage is that he knows his wife loves Jesus more than him and their kids. I don't know, he started going to something that I have been guilty of, because we always say, I want this, Lord, but if it's your will, you'll take care of it. You'll make it happen. And he was saying, we sit back and wait for God to do something. But while you're saying that, he's saying, I gave you the tools to do what you need to do. I'm giving you the keys. I'm going to make a note of that. Can't sit back and wait for God to do what we can do. He'll only do super to our natural. So he does the supernatural stuff, the stuff that we can't. We do the natural stuff, the things that we can't. So he's the super to our natural. I think that's cute. And then he started talking about how we need to step out in faith. And that's how he kind of started to conclude his message, because he acknowledged doing new things and trying to become a better person, or even a new person, if you will, is really hard and it's really scary. And that's where your faith comes in, and it's blind faith, kind of. So there are two stories in the Bible he started to talk about. I'm not really going to take too many notes on it because I've taken notes on these two stories before. But the first one is the bleeding woman, the story of the bleeding woman. She was sick and she'd been bleeding for years, and she knew with her faith that if she just touched the hem of his garment, like the robes that they wore, or whatever they were called, she knew that if she just touched the hem, on the bottom, that she would be healed. She knew without a doubt. So as he was walking in a crowd one day, she reached out and touched the garment, and he turned around and he said, "Who touched me?" And she said, "It was me." And she explained what happened, and he said, "Because of your faith, you've been healed." Without a doubt, in her mind, she knew that if she just touched him, because she knew who he was, that she would be healed. The second one is a story of a blind man who had heard that Jesus was walking through the town, and he knew he was walking by in that moment, and he said he would cry out "Jesus, have mercy on me." And Jesus didn't hear him at first, and everyone told him, they were like, "Shut up, don't scream at him, he was a beggar, he was a little peasant." And but he was blind, and he said it again louder despite people telling him to be quiet. He screamed louder, "Jesus, have mercy on me." And finally Jesus heard him, and he said, "What do you want?" And the blind man, he left his, what was it called, his beggar's garment, which that's how they begged for money back then if you were poor. And he dropped it, he left it on the ground. All the money he had, he left, and he went over to Jesus and said, "I just want to see, I know that you can heal me." And the same thing Jesus said, "Because of your faith, you are healed." He left the only finances he had to go to Jesus and ask for his sight, because he knew without a doubt that Jesus had the power to heal him, and that's why he was healed. And that's pretty much how he concluded the sermon. And I just wrote, I don't know where this comes from, but it says, and I put it in quotes, "Behold, I'll do a new thing." And underneath he was saying that taking all of this, Maya's stretching, taking all of this into consideration, you can ask God, literally just straight up ask him, what plans do you have for me this year? Because it's still, the beginning of 2019, and things are changing, and things in our life are changing. You can literally just ask him, "What plans do you have for me?" And he'll tell you, if you really meditate on it, meditate on his word, and spend time in prayer. And I'm not even just preaching that to you, that's something that I have to do too. So this notebook, I'm just gonna leave it open. So that's it, that's all I'm gonna do tonight. I will probably do my normal Bible study reading, just so I can kind of keep on track with that. But I did want to write out all of these notes and stuff, so I had them, so I don't have to keep them on my phone. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I'm sorry if my thoughts are sometimes a little all over the place. They can be like that sometimes, so I'm sorry. But I hope that you enjoy it, and thank you, really thank you to all of you who requested another one. It makes me very excited that you guys like these videos. So with all that being said, thank you so much for watching.